So, Kaylan, you didn't see a thing about Summer Game Fest, have you?
Nope.
This is gonna be your favorite part
No. So
because
so
oh, go ahead.
just for context, why I was busy. What was I doing? Oh yeah, I was busy that day, so I couldn't
I just
watch
assume
it.
you weren't
And
doing it
then
because
after,
you're a noted Jeff Keighley hater.
careful, we're gonna lose our sponsorship with him.
But hey, I'm
Potential
joining the
sponsorship in
club.
the future. But anyways, so I wasn't watching it, and then after Adam coming on, I was watching the Discord. I just heard Adam bitching the whole time. I'm like, nah, I've got very little time. I don't think I'm gonna watch this.
Well, Summer Game Fest really put the F in fest. So, um, if I'm being fair, I put it at like a D. But I'm not being
You're not
fair.
even gonna give it a fail.
No. If I'm not being fair because I was really pissed off. It's a fucking F of all Fs for many different reasons. So I made a fucking Google Sheet document for this reason. So there were 48 games announced. Now, if I take away the ones that were previously announced somewhere, we're down to 41. And if I take away the indie games because they don't really fall into anything, there were 31 games that are not indie or were not already announced previously at any point. Of those, 20% of them were Soulsborne games. 1 in 5 games that were shown out of that list was a Soulsborne. 22% of them were first-person shooters. 16% of them were live service or mobile games. I put those together because they're both as useless to me. And then another 13% of them were horror games. That left another almost 30%, and that was filled by about a third of that being strategy games. Because I know, Chris, you got your Jurassic World and God of War, or no, not God of War, Game of Thrones game.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it is just is other, which included games like Marvel Cosmic Invasion, which I'm super stoked about because that just looks like Turtles in Time, but with Marvel characters. Killer In, which I think might be a really interesting idea of a multiplayer shooter / detective game. I thought that looked really cool. There were a couple of Lego games in there. The Stranger Than Heaven, that Yakuza 1940s Japan game, and then I'm gonna butcher this name, Infinitesimals. Can't remember if that's the full name of it, but yeah. Basically 90% of that show wasn't for me, and the other 10% of it was pretty meh. And Jeff Keighley and his team decided that not only were they going to make this about Twitch streamers only, essentially, but they were going to use any other time that wasn't devoted to those people to pissing you off. Because they teased Resident Evil 9 twice and didn't give it to you until the very end, acting like it wasn't going to happen. They had the CEO of the devs of Splitgate come out with a fucking parody MAGA hat, which, by the way, he apologized in quotations for. He said, I apologize what this has done to the community. So first off, fuck you. And second of all, fuck you. And then on top of that, they brought out Mads Mikkelsen, the poor bastard. He didn't look like he wanted to be there, to talk about him reprising Le Chiffre from Casino Royale in Hitman as free DLC. And to have Jeff ask, I can't remember the guy's name that was brought up as part of I.O., to say, oh, so when is this game coming out? When on the screen behind him was the date it was coming out. I spent that entire stream, and I'm not going to take too much more time here, so I apologize. But I took the entirety of the stream, and Chris watched it, and anybody who joined me live watched it. The progression of me getting slowly more and more upset as nothing was happening that was interesting. Every game that was coming out were designed for essentially Twitch streamers, and then anything that we did get was full of some bullshit that no one asked for. I was saying this to one of my other friends after that show. It genuinely feels like Summer Game Fest is the epitome of here's all the people that were willing to pay us money to be on there, with no fucking thought process of trying to make some variety in there, of deciding hey, maybe we should not let this asshole come on with a fucking make FPS great again hat before he says some shit. The things we've been really nice with the Game Awards because obviously it's a big deal. It's the one thing that we have left now that E3's gone. But it's at the point now that these guys need to get their shit together, because with the people getting on stage at the Game Awards and some of the other weird stuff that's happened, they need to reel this in because they're looking really goddamn embarrassing. So overall, this show was a slog to go through, and I left mad. Like, I left furious after this show.
And confirm. I was there. I saw it.
It was brutal.
Yeah, it was.
This.
Yeah, I think Kaylan, you should take some time, get a nice glass of wine.
My top 5, 2 games came from that show, and yet I'm still here going, this was a waste of my time. I could have easily just looked at an IGN article listing everything, and I would have been fine.
What I'm doing.
Yeah, I think Kaylan did it smart.
Like, Killer In looks like a lot of fun. Like, as a guy who likes Among Us and games like that, that looks like a fucking blast. And then Scott Pilgrim's getting a new game. In a million years, I never would have assumed Scott Pilgrim was getting another game. So, like, that makes me happy. Was it worth 2 hours of suffering? No, it was not.
It was long. But,
like, look,
I mean,
I'm not upset that people really like Soulsborne games or horror games or stuff like that. But, like, we joked what was it, the Summer Game Fest last year, that we were joking like everything was a horror sci-fi?
Yeah. I think it was last year, yeah.
Seriously, Jeff, if you're, like, God forbid, if you're ever listening, dude, get somebody with a spreadsheet to at least math out how much you're putting on there and try to balance it a little bit. Holy shit, man.
It'd be really unfortunate if this is the first episode Jeff Keighley ever listens to us.
Cool. Maybe it'll fix something.
Jeff.
At least I'll feel like this podcast did something finally. Apart from making me angry.
Yeah, I don't think it would. I don't know how Jeff would react. Sorry, Jeff.
He'd probably just go reach into his bag of Doritos again.
Probably. Yeah, like, at least shout out to fan of the show Soupy for hanging out in the chat during the stream and helping me survive Adam's anger. Because it was intense.
And the worst part was I still didn't have my voice back, so I was struggling to hold it in a little bit so I wouldn't destroy it. Because I knew there was an hour to go and I was fuming already halfway.
I'm glad I didn't go on stream. I don't know how I would have survived it. Like, in the chat, being with you as I watched it, easy. But being on camera and on stream, I don't think I would have been able to hold it together.
Remember how I said last year I'm never going to make that mistake again? Oh, I've really learned my lesson now, haven't I?
Summer Game Fest 2026 stream. Woo, let's go.
I mean, yeah, probably.
Yeah, Adam's definitely watch this next year.
Like, it's now at a point where it's like a ritual. Like, I've got to do it.
You've got to, yeah. It's just your hate fest, summer hate fest.
Adam, while you were chatting, I put a GIF in our chat. Can you?
I
just
saw.
Share it?
I saw. What show is that from? Why am I blanking?
Seinfeld.
Oh my god, it's from Seinfeld.
Thank you. So you get like, I got a lot of problems with you people, and now you're gonna hear about it. Yeah, that sounds about right.
It's the Festivus episode,
which
is, in my opinion, one of, if not the best Seinfeld episode.
Oh, easily, I think the best. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of problems with people.
I also watched the Summer Game Fest, the entire thing, beginning to end, outside of Adam's anger, which was actually delightful. I'm not going to lie. If you watch the stream, it made it much better.
It's available on the YouTube channel, so if y'all want to see me rage, you can see me
go
rage.
Back and watch it. Please go back and watch it. It's so worth it. But yeah, it was probably the worst Summer Game Fest I think that they've done so far.
I know they've even gone on a limb that, like, it might be the worst presentation we've gotten ever.
Is it like 5 years they've done it now? I know it kind of
like
started
in terms of
around
one that takes place on a stage, Kaylan. Oh, I think I have a case.
Oh, really? Like, there's that Ubisoft one where they have like James Cameron coming out to talk about Avatar.
Oh,
yeah. No, I think I still might put that above it.
Yeah, at least Ubisoft was trying something.
At least Ubisoft once a would announce something interesting.
There was the EA one where they just talked about like their soccer game for like 20 minutes.
The only exception, and Chris and I were talking about it before you hopped into the Discord, Kaylan, there was one that Square Enix did where it was literally just like a conference room where they were standing at a podium and just talking about the games and didn't show anything. But that's like an unfair advantage on their part for literally like making you fall asleep.
I would have rather watched the Just Dance numbers from all the E3 Ubisoft presentations leading up to now.
Hey, those are that's peak E3. That's when when they look back at E3, that's going to be what they say. That was peak E3.
No, I mean,
at least they tried.
I mean, all of them in a row with no other games being shown. Like literally just that for 2 hours would have been a lot more enjoyable. Yeah, the Summer Game Fest was not good. It was easily the worst presentation. It was a fail. I wrote like D minus, but I guess I was being nice because it honestly is like an F.
Well, like I said, it's actually a D show, but because of like specifically the Splitgate guy, it really set me off because like this is the worst time for someone to pull something like that shit.
Yeah, not
That
a
was
good
a-
weekend. Like
That was a
weekend.
weird decision.
Like
take your hat off.
I think at the time that stream went up, LA was just starting its first day of protests.
Yeah. And it's not like it was the shirt he was wearing and panicked and couldn't change. Like, it's a hat. Just take the hat off.
Like, did nobody backstage look at this guy for an hour and go,
You sure? You sure?
Considering how
Yeah,
Jeff
you
will
sure?
also talk about, how, we need to all be together. And, like, the fact that they let that go, like, that tells me this is why, like, someone needs to actually, like, I don't know who, like, runs the whole operation there, if it's Jeff himself or somebody else. Somebody needs to fire that person, though, if it's not Jeff. Like, somebody either needs to reel his ass in or fire the person that's actually running it.
You got me just picturing that now. There's like no one behind the scenes. It's just Jeff like running and switching cameras. And, like, it's just a one-man show of Jeff.
Camera one, camera two, camera one. Okay, good.
Like, I'm sure there's someone who's the
little button
quote-unquote producer. That person needs to be fired.
That's also
Jeff
Jeff.
is the producer.
He's also doing that too. He's doing it all.
Because, like, it's not like there weren't
Somehow-
anything interesting.
who's-
Like, the
who's running
previously
lights?
announced
Yes,
stuff was cool.
somehow.
Like, the Sonic Racing game, awesome. Mafia the Old Country, awesome. Mixtape, awesome. Street Fighter 6. As an AEW wrestling fan, has seen Kenny Omega dress up in various Street Fighter costumes to advertise it. That was fucking great. We won't talk about Death Stranding because I basically felt like I was just watching Kojima stumble across stuff and then show a cinematic trailer that just looked like a movie. And I felt like,
Death Stranding.
guys, I don't, like, if no one's played the first game, you're literally just showing them nonsense. This doesn't do anything.
The whole game is
It's also
nonsense,
Death
even if
Stranding.
you played it.
I was gonna say that is Death Stranding.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
at least if they show gameplay of them walking around, they'd be like, oh, that's what kind of game it is. They literally just showed a film trailer, essentially. I'm like,
That's
I
also
think I
Death
even
Stranding.
said on the
That's also
stream,
Yeah, it's still Death
somebody
Stranding.
just give Kojima money to go make a film. I think that's what he wants to do.
That's what he's been trying to do. He's like, what do I have to do to make a goddamn movie?
In my next game, I'm removing all gameplay.
Like, for
Just-
all the dumbass video game movies we're about to start making all of a sudden, give that man a TV show. Netflix, come on, just do it for him. Like
Yeah.
he's like, treat him like a Make-A-Wish kid. Just give him this one thing. Come on.
It'd probably be
I
better
have to
than
imagine
most
the reason,
movies.
the reason he had Guillermo del Toro in his game initially was just he's like, so if I put you in my game, you promise you'll let me make a movie.
Yeah. He's like, yeah. That's why Conan O'Brien was in Death Stranding. He's just like, at least let me on your show. We'll talk TV.
Oh my god, I forgot he was in there too.
So Chris, important question.
Mhm.
How mad are you that there is now a Soulsborne game that uses the Chrono name before Square Enix decided to actually put out a Chrono game?
We don't talk about that the game had Chrono. That's bullshit. Doesn't even matter. Like, it's just a Soulsborne. No one's gonna remember anymore because there's just so many of them. It's ridiculous.
I'm
but I
sure
will
you both
say-
are excited though that there's a Dune game.
The Dune game, I'm like kind of interested in. It.
Just that survival one, like
Yeah.
like the MMO. No, I've lost.
That's the
interest
thing.
in that.
It's the whole survival part of it that I'm
It's
not
an
into.
MMO. Like I'm not interested.
But
Yeah.
then the real kicker is Kaylan finally gets his Game of the Year sequel.
I'm a cart. It's the year.
He knew.
No, the one like so in terms of my ranking, I wasn't even bothered to watch. So like DNQ, like didn't. Even
Oh,
make the
I
podium.
would tell you to your face, like you will call this the worst of the three, and it's not even close.
Oh yeah, that's why. Like I'm. Yeah. If you can't even get me interested enough to go and watch it, I'm not gonna say that. So
Yeah.
what I'm gonna do with my time instead is I'm gonna say I've been watching trailers or something, and I have the weirdest picture of Paul Rudd advertising Nintendo. Have you guys seen the Paul Rudd advertisement for Nintendo?
Yes, I have.
Adam, have you seen this?
No, I have no idea.
Okay, I'm gonna put. I just took a screenshot. Throw this up just so you can see. It's the weirdest picture I've ever seen of Paul Rudd.
He's
So, but do you know why
almost
he's
long
doing
hair?
that?
It's weird. What the fuck?
No,
He's redoing his '90s Super Nintendo commercial where he had that hair.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he
Is he
redid
really?
the commercial. So in 1990
All right, that's
or
kinda cool.
91, he had a Super Nintendo commercial where he's being like, oh, at a giant TV and like a drive-in. And he re-put on the same jacket and did the same hair as the 1991 commercial. But then it goes into more wholesome, and it turns out he's just playing Switch with like his niece and a couple of his friends. And they're like,
okay.
why are
Well,
you like that? He's like, it's my emo hair from, you don't remember the Super Nintendo commercial? And I think his niece is like, no, I wasn't born or alive. And that didn't sound very cool.
well, okay. Disregard my comment then.
Yeah.
See, this is the conversational podcast we have here.
I do have a hot take about the Summer Game
You have
Fest.
to forgive me. I'm watching like commercials with no sound on, so I have no context other than just weird Paul Rudd just playing Nintendo.
What's wrong with Paul Rudd? Is he okay?
All right, Chris, hit me. What you got?
Fall from Grace with Ant-Man really hit him hard.
So my hot take about the Summer Game Fest is, I don't even know if it's going to be a hot take. It's hard to tell because some people may agree. I'm glad it was awful. Like, I'm actually quite glad. And the reason I'm glad is because
you got to watch me rage, but aside from that.
Besides Adam's rage. That was actually so funny. Like, a part of me couldn't help. I was dying on the couch. So was my wife. She loved it.
E3's just like, no, we got to come back. We got to bring it back.
Is that what I'm going to hear the next time I go to your place and see your lovely wife? Like,
she's going to ask.
Is she going to ask, like, are you okay?
Yeah, she's going to 100% ask, because she was like, is Adam actually okay? Why is he so angry? I'm like, just watch more of the show. You'll get it. And then she sat and she watched the entire thing. She watched you for like an hour and 20 minutes. So the reason I'm glad it was bad is because back in E3 days, the thing that I loved wasn't the filler E3, right? Like, E3 was like 3 days long, but we didn't pay attention to all the demos and stuff. Like, there would be articles you'd see on IGN about indie games and stuff like that. And don't get me wrong, I think that indie games need their spotlight. So I am glad that Wholesome Game Fest, Black Voices in Gaming, Green Games, Women in Gaming, Southeast Asia Games, I can't remember all the names. Like, there's so many showcases on Saturday. I think all of those are perfect. They're exactly what they need to be. They are showcasing certain games. All of them are AA or indie. They're very, like, exactly what they need to be. Like, I think those are perfect. But when you would watch E3, it was always, there was the Sony showcase, the Microsoft showcase, a Nintendo showcase, a Ubisoft, an EA, like a Square Enix, like it, Bethesda, like it was the developers or the publishers up front themselves versus, like, you know, them having to come together and give somebody like Jeff like all of their trailers and mix it up. I loved that this year Sony and Microsoft were the two best ones, because those are the people we want to hear from, because you want to know what's coming to your platform, right? Like, in a perfect world, I think there would be a Nintendo one, a Sony one, a Microsoft one, and maybe even a Valve one or something. Obviously, there's the PC Gamer Show, so I guess that kind of covers it. But covering all the platforms like that from the main first-party publishers, and then people putting like their James Bond game in there instead of Summer Games Fest, I think helps build like the proper hype. Right now, people are like, oh, this is coming to the PS5, or this is coming to Xbox, this is coming here. Whereas in Summer Game Fest, it gets lost. It's just like this show of like so much stuff, and it's like, oh, cool, Fortnite has an update. Oh, cool, here's an ad. Oh, cool, here's a mobile game.
Fortnite
like
has an update. Like,
yeah. Oh, there was. Yeah, that was dumb. But it's just like a bunch of stuff. It's not the way I like to see all this. I love Nintendo Direct. I love State of Play when they're decent. I love the Microsoft shows. Like, all of those are the reason that I tuned into E3 before, and I would rather Mads Mikkelsen come out at the Sony State of Play or Microsoft. Like, Keanu Reeves coming out for Cyberpunk at the Microsoft showcase. That's iconic. That's amazing, right? That at a Summer Games Fest is just, it doesn't hit the same. Like, cool. Like, it's not.
It's also the point of saying, like, Summer Game Fest is really starting to feel corporate now.
Yeah, it feels like, yeah, people that paid to be there, and it's like this show of just like the extra, I guess, like, who's willing to go and be on this instead of like actually commit to being on a Sony one or a Microsoft one. And it's not like I think they have to be exclusives. Like the James Bond game being on State of Play, it still showed up in other showcases. It was on like the PC Gamer one. I think that's also a great way. Show the games twice. It shows up in the Sony one, then it shows up in the Xbox one to remind you it's on both, and like to build that hype. And it kind of, both consoles benefit. Like,
yeah, ideally you like those to be special, and that Summer Game Fest should just be like, oh, and by the way, here's a couple other cool things.
If it was me, I actually think Summer Game Fest should just be what we call this block, because Jeff actually is still one of the sponsors or supporters or whatever that brings all those other showcases in. I think Summer Game Fest should just be like those indie showcases in between the big ones like Wholesome and all the other ones, like Frosty for the games made in Australia and all that kind of stuff. Like there was 7 hours of showcases on Saturday, and all of them were more interesting than Summer Games Fest on Friday. And I think that Summer Games Fest should just be that set of showcases that are not meant for like the big AAA, big blockbuster stuff. It's like, hey, here's all the cozy games coming to Switch and Steam and whatever. Like it's
Either
more
that
the
or cut it
indie
in
shows.
half and stop being on stage, because they're acting like they're bigger than the others and they are not.
Yeah,
I
honestly,
think,
yeah, go ahead.
Chris, I think you made a really good point too, and like with removing Summer Game Fest, it tries to appeal to everyone and appeals to nobody in the sense. Whereas like the cozy game thing, like are you into cozy games? Great, this is either for you or not for you. Like you know exactly what you're getting. Like, hey, do you like PC gaming? Great, this show's for you or it's not for you. Like it's not one of those where it is so vague that it could be for anyone, right?
Because like
And then
even
you
in a
have
way,
people coming
like
in with-
going to the Xbox showcase, like you know it's for you because you own the console.
Exactly.
it's for you on the console, and you know like generally what to expect from those publishers, right? Those are gonna be big AAA games, right? You know from the indie developer showcase, you're not going to be getting massive AAA games, right? So I think it's a really good point of getting rid of Summer Game Fest and have the big AAAs do their big AAA shows, and then have the smaller ones do their own little shows, and like
Yeah.
have it be tailored to what the theme is.
Yeah, and there's so many of those other like shows. There is like 7, 8, 9 of them. Like they start with like Day of the Devs all the way up to the PC Gamer Show, but there's the Future Game Show. There's
Mhm.
so many in between, and they're all decent. They don't do anything amazing. Very little. Like they have a lot of world premieres, but a lot of them are just like, wow, that looks like an amazing fishing game. I'd love to play that and chill out to it while listening to music. Like it's a lot of that kind of stuff, and I think you could have the state of play on one day, and then you have all of those, and then you have the Xbox one. Try and convince Nintendo to come in there during that same time. You still get that E3 experience, and you're still highlighting all the indie developers and all those ones. I think that's important, and they're actually enjoyable because you know what you're getting. It's indie games, and they're even in a heading like Wholesome Game Fest. And I just think it would be much better because Game Awards, you can keep it. Like that's still at the end of the year. It's not like we're getting all the other things. Get rid of Summer Game Fest, focus on having the Game Awards, still have that stage. It's still at least better, or at least it's like unique-ish because it's got the award show, and just get rid of Summer Game Fest. It's just what you call that block of stuff.
But even like the Game Award show is focused in that like you're there for the Game Award aspect. Like the trailers are bonuses or extras, right?
Exactly.
No one
Yeah,
goes
it's almost like
into-
commercial breaks between the awards.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's better, and I even found myself tuning into that IGN live. Like they were live for like 4 straight days, and also streaming a lot of this stuff. I guess they're also in partnership. It was so much more enjoyable just seeing like some IGN people sitting on a couch with a live audience talking about like, hey, did everybody watch Wholesome Direct? Here's some cool games that were at it. Wasn't that cool? Anyways, here comes the Southeast Asia Direct or whatever it was called, and like then it had that showcase.
You're
and
right.
It was
We
more
should be doing
enjoyable.
4 days of streaming, so I could have bitched about that entire thing for an entire 4 days.
No, they kept it positive. I don't think that you would have been able to sit
They're
on
also
that couch for
getting
4 days and keep it
They're also,
positive.
they're also getting paid.
They're also
That is-
getting paid.
Shit, I'd bitch about Summer Game Fest for free for 6 hours straight. The way that I was pissed off after that show,
It was, yeah. I'm surprised you're actually still alive. I honestly thought you were just gonna.
my
pass
throat
out from
wasn't.
that.